Subversive Spectrum with your host, Sally Mayweather.
Well, the Epstein Black Book, like on day one.
On day one, roll out the Black Book.
So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
He killed himself. You want me to I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
And released yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the stabbing?
Yeah, sure. If
could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration.
What is up, guys? Welcome to the Subversive Spectrum, episode 761,259. No, I don't know. That's definitely not accurate. Shout out to our sponsors, the number one privacy coins in the world, Zano Firo. Check out FUSD for the world's first decentralized stablecoin built on a private blockchain. It's actually really exciting. Also, check out Zano.cash, where it's like a point of sale solution where you can accept Zano and Freedom Dollar. Also, shout out to Edge Wallet, the number one privacy-centered multi-chain wallet. Check it out. Anti-Fiat Crypto Club. And don't forget to pick up the book, Hijacking Bitcoin. As you can tell, we have a abnormal show for you today. We are traveling. However, our producer Alex put together a compilation that I think you're going to enjoy, including some new footage you've never seen before. We've got Joel Valenzuela, him and I pre-recorded a segment for you guys. We explore privacy coins. We talk about what's going on in the world of crypto, and we go over Donald Trump clearing Jeffrey Epstein. Is that what happened? I'm not sure. Well, Joel and I are going to discuss it. Also, one more thing I want to talk about before we get into all of this. Next week, Wednesday, July 16th, we have a very, very special stream set up for you guys. We are going to be live from a private sloop on the canal in Amsterdam, streaming for you guys with some of the top figures in the European crypto scene. So you're not going to want to miss that. Now, because it's in Amsterdam, the times are going to be a little fucked up. Like, I think it'll be streaming in America at like 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. or something like that. But don't worry, if you can't miss it, if you can't make it, if you're working, you got prior obligations during the day, you can always go to my X page where As you know, I always leave my pinned tweet is always the most recent episode of the show. So yeah, you can always check it out there. That's all I got for you guys. I want to thank our sponsors, Type at the Show, and introduce the little segment that we did with Joel. Other than that, that's it. I will see you guys next week from Amsterdam. Peace.
Cryptocurrencies is for everybody, and they need to go head to head and compete with the US dollar and the euro and the yen and the ruble and everything else. Because when people have more choices, their lives are better off, and it results in more economic freedom. More economic freedom results in more economic growth, and more economic growth raises everybody's standard of living, which literally makes every single person's life on the planet better off. And that's why it's such an exciting thing for me to be involved in. And that's why I'm doing it despite risking 109 years in federal prison for just telling people about these amazing ideas and technologies.
Roger Ver is one of the pioneers of the crypto space.
Bitcoin Jesus. Leave it to the Biden administration to try to figure out a way to crucify Bitcoin Jesus.
My first thought is maybe it's not really about the taxes. Maybe there's something more to this story. Roger Ver's not actually guilty by the letter of the law.
He did everything he possibly could to comply.
So they're using the tax system as a form of lawfare. As an example, don't you dare innovate.
If anybody knows what it's like to be the victim of lawfare, it's Trump.
Donald Trump. A pardon of Roger Ver would send a very powerful message. And if you want to make America great again, you need people like Roger.
We should be proud of our country. We should keep our best and our brightest. We shouldn't be chasing them out.
That's the stuff that all the U.S. propaganda wants you to believe goes on in Russia all the time.
Look at the evaluation of Mar-a-Lago case. Look at the New York cases. Look at the D.C. cases. Trump, you understand lawfare. People in this administration have a sensitivity to this and an awareness of this issue that has never been present in the executive branch before.
I feel like we're undergoing an emancipation from the financial terrorism that has so oppressed our best minds.
We want to see President Trump get rid of the lawfare agreement as he was once victim of. A pardon, lifting of charges, whatever it takes. It's time to free Roger.
Free Roger.
Free Roger. Free Roger.
Roger, Godspeed.
I want Donald Trump to issue a pardon for this man.
Free Roger. Free Roger. Free Roger.
Free Roger now.
In 3.5 years, the current administration has waged a war on crypto and Bitcoin like nobody's ever seen before. It has to stop, and it has to stop now.
For artists, NFTs are about freedom. But what happens when governments or platforms censor your work? Enter Obscura, the anonymous NFT platform built on Zono. It lets creators mint and sell NFTs privately without restrictions. Imagine controversial memes, political art, or even music that might be banned elsewhere. Now, creators can share their vision without fear, and collectors can own these NFTs without exposing their identity. This is not just about digital art. It is about true creative freedom without limits.
I think the Lightning Network, most folks will end up running Lightning nodes on their phone as well, because that's how you pay for a cup of coffee. Whereas I think base layer Bitcoin, rightfully so, is evolving into the FedWire equivalent of a US dollar system. It's the high value transfer system that costs more money to move but settles fast. Whereas the Lightning Network is low value, high frequency payments network, and it's a second layer network built on top of Bitcoin. I'm a huge fan of both of those.
Why is Roger Ver facing 107 years?
And so Roger Ver, I've talked about him on the show before. I just spoke to him recently. He's trying to extra. I don't know what the exact situation is. He's the next one I think Trump should be pardoning or commuting. Great. They're accusing him of. They accused him of. This is a trick that the IRS does. Which when I heard about this, I was shocked. They said his IRS form was fraudulent. Okay, fine, but because he mailed it, they added like 20 years of mail fraud.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Do you see how that works? Is that amazing?
Unbelievable.
So it's just like let's suppose, for the sake, let's steel man it. His IRS tax form was a fraud. Fine, milk him.
Yeah. Pay the fine.
Pay a huge fine.
He's offered to.
What is the benefit of putting him and the thing is like, if in terms of like it's going to incentivize other people, don't you want these rich people to pay these big fines? It's just a revenue generator for you. What is the incentive of putting him in jail for 20 years? Or
I'm actually pretty surprised because they like money. That's
right.
For sure.
Take the money. It's either you get a lot of money from these rich people, or you're paying for 20 years, put them in jail, helping no one.
I'm Sal the Agorist. And if you've been around here long enough, you know I don't just talk privacy, I live it. To me, privacy isn't some buzzword or marketing gimmick. It's a non-negotiable part of living free, opting out, and taking back control of your financial life. That's why I'm excited about this. Zano, one of the most private blockchains in crypto, is now available in Edge Wallet, a self-custody crypto wallet that actually respects your sovereignty.
Zano is a fully shielded blockchain. Everything you do on it is private by design. We're talking encrypted transactions, hidden addresses, and confidential transaction amounts on the blockchain. That's next level privacy. And now with Edge, using Zano is actually simple. You can store, send, and trade Zano directly inside the Edge app. Fully self-custody, no personal information required, and no tracking of sends and receives into and out of your account.
Let me say that again. With Edge, you don't need to trust a third party or hand over your ID just to hold your own money. That's how it should be. Most Zano wallets have you write down a 26-word seed phrase, but Edge does it differently. You log in with a secure username and password that only you have access to. Edge doesn't store any of this information themselves, and everything gets encrypted locally on your device. That's self-custody made usable. And if you ever need to, you can always access your seed phrase in the app at any time.
Getting started takes seconds. Download the Edge app, create a PIN, tap to add a Zano wallet, and you're done. No custodians, no leaks, no friction. And here's the best part. Edge automatically encrypts and backs up your wallet using secure peer-to-peer cloud servers. Your data is never exposed, and Edge can't access your info in any usable form. If something happens to your device, just reinstall the app, log in with your username and password, and everything's right where you left it. You can even enable one-touch two-factor authentication for extra security. And there's a built-in password recovery option, so you don't have to risk losing access forever. Edge also supports other privacy coins like Monero, Zcash, Firo, and R. So if privacy is your thing, this is the wallet you have to get.
If you're an agorist, a builder, a voluntarist, a freedom maxi, or just anyone who wants their financial life off the radar, this is the stack for you. Zano gives you confidential transactions. Edge gives you user-friendly, private self-custody. Together, this is the way that cryptocurrency was meant to work. Download Edge at dl.edge.app/sal and add Zano. And take back control of your money without compromise. Because privacy is no longer optional, it's your edge.
All right, Joel Valenzuela, my main man. Thank you for the last minute coming on and chatting with us.
Yeah, no problem. And I have to say, I like your hat.
Thank you.
I have one up there on my shelf. I don't know if you can see it from here.
I do, and I like the book that you have. We got one here.
Yeah. And of course, the Hijacking Bitcoin, the old school.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Yeah, I think
great minds think alike.
Evident. I think this is evidence that the big block / privacy movement is astroturfed grifting, because look at us. We all got our kit.
Do you have this one?
Yeah, what? I have it in some other thing. It's not on display.
Okay.
But something that's going on the actual wall at some point is this thing from Consensus.
Oh, nice.
All Doge.
Oh, wow.
All
That's
Doge
awesome.
go to heaven.
Oh, that's so sick, actually.
The cool thing about it, and This is, I guess, I'll show the acronym Foundation a little bit. They're a fantastic nonprofit focused on crypto as cash, and they had the best booth in all of Consensus, where they recreated a '90s like strip mall that had like a blockbuster video called Blockchain Video with posters like that, a bunch of VHS tapes, all the VHS tapes, by the way. They went down to the smallest detail. So instead of like a FBI warning, they had like an SEC warning about crypto inside the VHS notes.
No way.
And they had these little NFC hardware wallets made by Burner that looked like a Blockbuster like membership card that you could use for NFC payments in the entire little strip mall there. So like, for example, you could buy a poster, they had like a real nail tech doing people's nails if you wanted to go tap and pay there. They did they had like a photo booth, like all the kind of like nostalgia stuff. And according to what they told me, they got like over 1,100 people to pay with crypto just during that event. So
oh my God.
Yeah, I'm like psyched about those guys. They're kind of partnered with Flexa. I don't know how much you've heard about Flexa, but it's one of the big like Zcash spending tools you hear people talk about. So yeah, so it's a lot of, anytime people get pessimistic on like crypto for like the original purposes, I just think they're not in deep enough in the industry, right? Because you go deep enough, you start seeing a lot of really cool things.
Yeah.
You know, just don't like follow the big like whale guru or whatever the hell on X. Just get away from that type of stuff. You'll get depressed.
No, you're 100% right. Like, and honestly, the deeper I go into crypto, the more excited I get, because I'm like learning new shit all the time. Like, you know, there's just so much going on that it's hard to keep up with. So like when you do come across a project that you were unfamiliar with, that's like disruptive and it has this potential for like liberating people or creating just any bit of financial sovereignty, like I just get excited. That's why I was initially drawn to Zano, was because like it made me feel like it was 2013 again. Like it was that same sort of excitement. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. It was, and hopefully Vlad will be joining us. We're waiting for him now, but I don't know. He hasn't. I don't have the double check mark on Telegram, so he hasn't seen my message in like an hour. So he might have fallen asleep. I know Romania is like very far ahead of us.
He tends to be from like my understanding, he tends to be like a late person because he's answered my messages very late in Romanian time. So maybe that's maybe it's just, you know, is what it is. I don't know, but
he came on the show. Actually, we live streamed at like 7:30, and we had the guest spot from 8 to 8:30, and then after that, he was like, "Are you still streaming?" I'm up, and I'm like, "Holy shit, bro! It's got to be like 4:30 in the morning by you." But yeah, he came on and we did like a segment. It was great.
Yeah, he's a interesting character, and I definitely think something that he does well that not a lot of people do. He is the endurance sport aspect of podcasting.
Yeah, yes.
He seems like he likes to get the high score. Now that doesn't always make for the best content necessarily, but it does like you do tend to like wear out fluff after several hours. Like it's hard to just keep going. And like Amir Taki doing like 8 hours on his show is pretty impressive, but also
Crazy.
I think
Vitalik,
it's more
too.
Yeah, and it's good
Two
that
or
like
3 hours?
figures. Yeah, I mean like I'll do 5 to 8 hours if someone wants me to, but like usually, you know, you don't have like the big figures kind of wanting to do that, you know?
That's well, I guess I should use this opportunity to promote our stream. You guys, Joel and I are recording this on Monday the 7th, but you guys are watching this on Wednesday the 9th. As you're watching this, I'm in the air actually right now, headed towards Europe, and actually we're doing a live stream 1 week from today, Wednesday the 9th. It's not Wednesday the 9th as far as me and Joel are concerned right now, but for all of you guys watching, 1 week from today, we're going to be doing a special live stream from a sloop in Amsterdam, or as they say in Dutch, a sloop. That's what Quentin and all the Zano guys call it, but it's going to be sponsored by Confidential Layer and Freedom Dollars. So we're going to have some great people on from the European crypto scene, and that'll be a marathon stream. We'll do like 4 or 5 hours, like from the boat as we're just going around the canal. It's going to be really great. So, yeah, if you guys are around Wednesday, hop in. It'll be probably early because, like, if we start streaming at 2 or 3 p.m. in Amsterdam, that'll be like 8, 9, 10, something like that in the morning in the Eastern Standard Time. So.
Like 6 hours, I think.
I don't mind the marathon streams. In fact, the good thing about them is you get so many viewers that hop in after the longer you go. I've noticed that you get more and more the audience grows as you continue streaming.
Yeah, I kind of feel like recorded content is good for short and then shorter, and then the streams you want to just power through as many as possible. I do that with the Cryptocorum space on the Dash account that I do every Thursday that you've been in, and I mentally try to view it as a personal failing of mine if it only lasts under 2 hours. I'm like, oh no, this wasn't very good, because I have noticed in terms of viewership, once you hit hour 2.5, it starts to pick up a lot, and then it just that's the way those things work. But I made all kinds of stuff like the TikTok 60-second type clips, and then the 30-minute to hour-long type interview ones, and then it's just the marathon live streams. And I don't know, I hate to say it, the marathon live stream ones are the easiest to do, because the prep work is the least, kind of.
Right, yeah.
Because you can't prep for a 3.5 hour. You just go.
You just go. Yeah.
And and so it's for me, the total amount of time in a 30-minute focused thing is that's the worst, is because I have to do so much prep, editing, everything else, and it's just the super short ones I can bang out in an hour, maybe the 60-second ones. But then the interviews, you have to record and then edit a little bit. But just the long stream, I just show up and then I'm done. Makes sense.
At PorkFest, we streamed for I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, and we just had a steady stream of guests. But we had 30,000 people watching us, which was great. No notes whatsoever. You and I are talking for 34 minutes. I've got a whole thing of notes here and shit like that. But yeah, I don't. You're right. It is more fun because there's less planning, but. I can talk about this shit all day long, honestly. It doesn't,
Yeah, it's the sausage, how the sausage is made for the viewers at home.
Speaking of which, let's get into it. I was scrolling through your timeline a little bit before you and I came on, and I learned through your page that the BTC mempool is actually almost completely empty. I knew it was basically empty, but it's empty now. No one is using this.
Yeah, or I wouldn't say no one, but the amount of the same number of people are using it as before, but the same way fewer people are trying to use it. And that's the thing that I think that a lot of people kind of missed out on as they look at the transaction volume. They're it's the same as it's been for almost a decade now.
Right.
It's well, what you don't get is that's just saying this restaurant is still all the tables are full just like usual. What do you mean demand's gone down. Whereas usually there's like a line out the door, or people are paying for a premium reservation a whole bunch in advance, and none of that's happening anymore. And so like the short-sighted restaurateur would just be like, nah, our place is full, everything's going fine. But it's just like, it's showing a decreasing demand. It's showing that the market will pay X for a Bitcoin transaction. And there's only so many people that will do that. And so once you have to wait or you have to pay more, people largely are not wanting to do that anymore. So it's kind of capped out right there. And I think that the I guess the dum-dums in the crypto world are kind of in denial about it. But I would say obviously the big blocker type people like you and I are super aware, but also I would say the people at the core of like the Bitcoin core team and other people who are smart and builders or whatever in the BTC world are also aware of this, even though they're not phrasing it the same way. But everyone kind of knows you need to do something.
What are they going to do? What do you think they should do? What's the fix? I mean, other than, the obvious.
Yes, well, to get the obvious out of the way, if you increase the total amount of transactions via bigger block size, etc., then you can get more money, more usage with the same amount of per transaction fees, so therefore more usage, right? The old big blocker thing. I don't even think you need to be a big blocker, even though I think that's what I think is the most optimal. Just a bigger blocker, just a little bit more, like
right.
4 megabytes, get a lot of revenue. But as far as like these political solutions, so for example, anytime I talk about like legislation or something like that, or like electoral things in, like, for example, the U.S. I'm never talking about which the ideal thing that should happen. It's always a dumpster fire. You're always just saying, well, this is the compromise that can get some kind of incremental benefit, and it's like, all right, well, there you go. So it's the same thing here. You're not getting more transactions on the base layer. That's just not probably going to happen. So one thing you could do is, if you can get more people willing to pay more for an individual transaction, then you could fix the fee revenue issue. Now, how do you do that? Well, the blockchain can't do what the market wants, apparently, for them to be paying that much per transaction. So I know that the Bitcoin core team did push through a change to remove the op return data limit, which basically means the per transaction amount of data, it can now be much larger. So even if you only can do, let's just say with SegWit, it's at like 4 megabytes of block weight or whatever. It gets all confusing at that point. But basically, if that's as big as the block can be, just more of it could come from a single transaction than before. And I'm not exactly sure why they want that, but there are some companies that are looking to leverage that. And I don't know, again, if they'll have users again or anything like that. That's all, past what I could see. But basically trying to do like some sort of a DeFi style operation, or a big, like, put a big piece of data on the blockchain, kind of. That's like one thing.
I mean, I'm not a developer or a computer scientist, but it seems like that would not be the best thing for network congestion.
Yeah, I mean, it would kind of be the same. It just would, instead of like a bunch of like 10-cent transactions, you could just have a big fat like $2 transaction, but the value provided by that would be fine, that people would be more than happy to pay $2, which an individual sending money is not going to be that.
Right.
An app doing something. And then there's other proposed upgrades like CTV and OpCat and some other things, which I don't know too much about, just because they don't excite me. They seem like super tiny incremental changes when we could do so many more awesome things. But from what I've been told by people smarter than me, it does seem like these things would enable more like layer 2 type solutions on Bitcoin that aren't completely centralized. So my understanding right now is, if you do these things like BitVia, stuff like that, that you just have to trust one person, basically, that, to sequence to the main chain, which is trash, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
apparently some of these upgrades would make it so that it was, well, you don't really have to trust one person. It might be like 5 people or something. So that's kind of what they're
just
looking
like,
at.
it's so tiring. Like, why not at this point just use a different freaking blockchain? I mean, just, ugh. It's just, the whole thing is just crazy.
NFTs on public blockchains always leave a trail. What you own, who owned it before you, even when it changes hands. It's all out in the open. But Obscura changes that. You still get access to content, events, and private communities. But your identity and activity stay hidden. No tracking, no visible history. Just simple, secure access without exposure. Obscura is private by design.
All right, what I have to ask you because it's in the news as we speak. There, according to Donald Trump's FBI, Joel, there is no Epstein client list. There was never, it just, the whole thing, poof, never happened. What do you make of this fucking fiasco? Because in March, Pam Bondi said that the Epstein client list was on her desk, and now the FBI, which she controls, says that it doesn't exist. So we're being lied to. Somebody's lying to us. And what the fuck is going on here, man?
Yeah, well, it's pretty. I can't help but laugh. This is great. Like, from a person who enjoys a little bit of like watching the world burn, I have a big smile on my face here. I think it's very obvious that I'm not going to go full like, oh, there's so many crimes on so many things. And like, as far as what is on the list and who is on the list and who's implicated and all that stuff, my personal opinion is that we don't actually know. Like, as far as we don't know how bad it is, if it's even super bad, et cetera else. We don't know, right? Just like, I also think that Epstein probably did not kill himself, but I also would say I don't know, because there's just so much fog. There's so much we don't see that's not being disclosed. That being said, this whole like, oh, never mind, there was nothing. You kind of you need more than what's been disclosed. You need, hey guys, really embarrassing, but it turns out there's nothing. And everything that we thought was on the list, and that there was a list, that all turned out to be a complete fabrication. And we have evidence that, like, I'm really embarrassed about, like, you'd have some kind of a big, like,
but we know that
shell.
Yeah, but she already said that she had the list, though. She said she had it. So the whole
like,
thing about like it doesn't exist, that sort of went out the window already, because she said she had it in her possession. She said it's on my desk.
Yeah, so there's follow-up questions there. It's like, well, what is the thing on your desk then? What was that if it wasn't the list?
Right.
If there is no lists. Here's the thing. I don't even think, if I were to give a personal opinion, I don't even think that it's like on the list. Like, there's a lot of evidence that could indict the sitting president currently. I don't think that that's the angle. I think it's more that too many people he got chummy with after, in like the shockingly short 6 months since he's been back in there, are would like, come on, dude, like, come on, this is gonna suck if this comes out. And he's like, all right, make it disappear. He just doesn't care, and it's just, that's kind of where we're at. If I were to guess, that's kind of
And
where
if that's
we're at.
well, if that's the case, that's even worse, because that means that the president is actively protecting pedophiles. But I think my personal take on this is that I don't think Donald Trump was fucking kids, but I do think that he was like, palling around in the 80s and 90s with like wealthy New York City types, and Jeffrey Epstein was probably one of them. Their paths probably crossed on more than one occasion. They might have even have been friendly at some point. And because of that, Donald Trump's name is on these flight logs. And again, he's, a rich New York City billionaire. He doesn't have to go bang kids. but I do believe that his name was on these flight logs. And I saw an interview a long time ago where he said something to the effect of, well, if this client list gets out there, there's going to be a lot of innocent people who are friends with Mr. Epstein who are going to go down. And I think that's likely to be what's going on here. This is my gut feeling here.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious from the way he acts that, first of all, he gives so much lip service to the list in the past. And if he did that, then that doesn't sound like he personally really gives a crap if it comes out. Like he's just like, okay, I was there, I don't care, it's fine. I think like the 180 is because something else changed, and I don't think that he went back in time to diddle kids or something, and now it's a problem. But what changed is like the relationships with the other people on the list, and he's just like, or maybe some other people were like, look, remember how that last bullet missed by like this much? Like, you want to roll the dice again, or you want to like keep this thing and just? I don't think it's that high of a thing because he does tend to like fight back against people actively trying to like smash him. But I just think that like whatever he wants could be like, yo, like I don't like this big beautiful bill that gives you all these priorities you talked about. Like, I'm not going to vote for it, dude, unless you do something for me. And then just like, all right, done. No list. It's in kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's a mess. And I had a tweet where I said something like, it's a bad day to be one of the people who believe that Donald Trump was different. How about getting
This is beautiful. Like, it depends on what you're looking at. Like, I kind of come from a perspective where like last 10, 20 years or so, I've already been relatively black-pilled on a lot of this stuff to where I don't like, I already think it's all trash and a scam. Like, I don't think you could go lower than that. Like, I already hit rock bottom and I'm just waiting for signs of change or collapse. And I'm seeing a lot of those. And that's what's making me positive about this. Think about this. This gentleman, first of all, in 2016, he was not an insider. He was not like one of the party's chosen people. He had a lot of unpopular with the establishment type views, especially around like wars and stuff like that. And he sort of just forced his way in there. The system tried to like take him out, get rid of him, and he just got his way back in there anyway. First of all, I kind of feel like this 2024 was like this year, I guess, was the first semi change of power that we've had in the last 20 years. So that's like, okay, that's a semi-positive. But like, despite this guy came back in because he built a coalition of a lot of good groups, which traditionally are kind of excluded, which would be, for example, the libertarian vote, the anti-war vote, the crypto vote, the health hippie vote, whatever you want to call that, all these different votes. And he's like speed run, like 6 months. Usually it takes 4 years, if not 8. But thanks to his impulsiveness and in the internet and freaking Elon and everything, he has speed run shedding every major ally he's ever had. Like they're all gone now. Like he pissed them all off. Like Elon, who like got him in there basically. I mean, there's some, we can argue about how much he did, but he did so much. Elon's not only like outing him on this Epstein list kind of thing.
The libertarians turned on him.
Yes, and like Elon's actually throwing money at his direct political opponents now, like Thomas Massey, and starting another third party. He's like his biggest guy turned against him. Okay, whatever. And then you have, of course, like the libertarians, like the Dave Smith people are pissed off. The anti-war people are now pissed off.
Even Joe Rogan was talking shit on his podcast now.
Yeah, every major person, and then you get to like. Now you get to the last one, like the biggest sycophants out there for him, who he gave this like photo op to. They're now just like, oh, dude. Like I've seen that DC Drano dude, whoever the hell that is, but I've seen him say a lot of really dumb things on Massey these days. Yeah. And now he's just like, he's not. You could tell he's like cracking. It's not like all the biggest sycophants, like the cat turd dude, is like taking a break for a few days. It's like,
is he? I'm blocked. I wouldn't know.
Yes. Everyone it's coming apart at the same time.
It's actually fucking hilarious.
So imagine what happens when it comes time for the midterms. What's that going to look like? And the Dems are all in disarray. You have Jake Tapper doing a book tour talking about Obama's decline. And of course, he covered up during his time at CNN. But who cares?
I
He
know.
has a book. He's selling a book. But the point is, it's like everything's coming apart. And I don't think we'll see meaningful reform through government. That's just never been my point of view. But I do think the chaos will uproot some of the more entrenched things of government, and also will cause a lot more disillusionment with the state as a whole, to where people will just be like, man, I just I thought this MAGA way was a way out of this. Like, well, how do we get out of it? And then alternative solutions started to become a lot more attractive,
This is Freedom Dollar, FUSD, the world's first privacy-focused stablecoin built on the Zano blockchain. Unlike traditional stablecoins, FUSD is decentralized, censorship-resistant, and private by default. Each FUSD is over-collateralized with Zano and pegged to the US dollar using a decentralized algorithm. There's no CEO, no company, no central authority. FUSD is governed entirely by open-source code and community consensus. Anyone can run a market-making node to help maintain the peg and further decentralize the network. All collateral and peg data are transparently published and verifiable at freedomdollar.com. CBDCs and corporate stablecoins can be frozen, tracked, and censored. FUSD can't. Use FUSD to spend, save, or transfer stable value without giving up your freedom. Freedom Dollar, private, stable, unapologetically unbanked. freedomdollar.com.
Speaking of which, we'll come back to politics, but let's talk about some of these solutions. Let's go through some of the news and privacy coins. First of all, shout out to our sponsors of this episode, Edge Wallet. Check out the hat. Peep the hat. Joel's got one in the background too. Number one multi-chain wallet, supports all the best privacy coins, including a couple of my favorites. So it looks like Vlad is en route to us. Cool. Firo had a little landmark opportunity here. Let me see if he's in the. He is not in the chat yet, but I expect him to be joining us soon. Firo hit 350 Spark names registered. They have a treasure hunt that they do, which I think is pretty cool. I don't know if you follow that, but if you go,
I haven't specifically seen that, but
yes, every week they do. Cool. Yeah, the Spark names are great because what's cool about Firo Spark names is you can actually, or you will be able to trade them. Whereas with Zano, your alias is your alias. In Firo, you're able to trade and sell them, so there will be like vanity kind of names and shit like that. Somebody was smart, Ruben, who was the project steward of Firo, who you and I know, somebody registered the Spark name Ruben, just I guess in case someone tries to ever send Firo to Ruben, they're like, that guy's going to get the funds, which I thought was pretty clever. But there's 350 of them now, so that's a significant landmark. It's still less than Zano has by a good measure. But there's the Firo community is starting to grow. They have the treasure hunt, which they do every week. And you can go on the X page to learn more. You can win. Basically, they put out a riddle, and the answer is a Spark name, so you have to register the answer as a Spark name. And if you win, you get 10 Firo. This week, the clue is: I talk, but I'm not alive. I arrive, but never leave. I'm born every half moon, but I never age or grieve. What am I that speaks without a voice? I don't know. I have no idea. So if you know what that is, download the Campfire wallet, register a Spark name. You can win yourself some Firo. World adoption was happening with Firo. There's a video that I posted of people using Firo in Syria, which is cool. Like war-torn Syria. Also, I was onboarding people in New Hampshire at Portfest. I missed you, bro. I don't know. You live in New Hampshire. Why didn't you show up? You should have been there, man.
Well, I'll explain the Portfest thing. I was there Wednesday. I came up Wednesday, gave a talk, gave another talk, including like a whole basically workshop to the Zano people about how to get on more exchanges and things like that. Just happened to be an impromptu thing. It was kind of fun. But it's so I've been going to PorcFest for at least for like 11 years now. And it's just every year we go up and it's just every year it's like, oh, we'll take a break this year because it's kind of an ordeal getting up there and stuff. And every year they keep pulling me back in. The thing is like spending like hotels on like getting hotels registered because there's like not really hotels and I don't like to camp on that, that gross place or whatever.
Oh, I hate camping there. I've done it. It sucks.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I'm just thinking about like the money we spend there. What else could we do with it? I'm just like, I'd rather do that. Let me just go up and give my talk and be gone. But I guess it's not a firm commitment, but probably next year I'm going to try to actually be there for at least like a few days. Just got to plan because, I was at just like several different countries, continents and stuff last couple months, just all over the place. And I'm just like, now you got to plan PorcFest. I'm like, God damn it.
So I feel like PorcFest is such a grassroots organization, like a grassroots event that like, if you want to like onboard people to like Zano and Firo and shit like that, like go and convince those merchants because those are the few people in the world who will go back and actually use it in real world business. So yeah, I was buying chai tea with Firo. It was really cool.
Yeah, did you see my buddy Eric there? He had like a cyber truck he was selling out of like kombucha and stuff like that.
Yes, I did. Yes. That's your buddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's an OG like Dash guy, and he's
nice
since OG like Bitcoin guy since like 2011. Again, you find a lot of the super early Bitcoin people in all the good projects, right?
Right.
Just happens to be that way. And yeah, he was selling a lot of stuff, and he really he broke down I think his spending like ratios on X. I think he goes by Evil Duck 92 was his X profile, but anyway. Yeah, it seemed like a cool place. The funny thing is, in 2014, when I went to PorcFest, I didn't bring any fiat. I only brought Bitcoin, and I spent it on everything all week long except for coffee, which I had to buy some little silver coins with my Bitcoin and use that instead. So it's all good. And 2019, I think, Dash was the big sponsor of PorcFest. Had like a big thing on the side of the tent. Did like a new wallet download giveaway thingy and stuff. It was great. After that, it trended downward it was actually kind of depressing. Like 2020, 2021, it started to get bad. And it was, I don't know if it's 2 years ago or last year, but you started to see an uptick where like you start getting like the Monero people, like Monerotopia
coming back.
And then the Edge people came. And then this year it was like Monero, Edge, Zano,
Aaron Day,
Quai folks. And just, it's starting to come back, and then now I hear rumblings from the Zcash people, like we're going to need to have a table there next year.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think it's like, it's funny because it was all homegrown crypto, and then all those people, I guess, over the years just did other things, or they got super rich and they just bought a house and kind of went away or whatever.
Right.
Now that crypto's back, it's all out of state people coming in to do that. And of course the in-state people are still into it, but it's like, it's kind of interesting how that's kind of coming back in. And my also thought process on that is crypto's growing so much that most of these big crypto conferences like the Consensus, the Bitcoin ones, et cetera, are all like not very cypherpunk anymore. And so the cypherpunk percentage is very much smaller, but in raw numbers, it's bigger than it was in my day. And so now they're all looking for a cypherpunk place to land. And like, I think you saw at ETHDAM this year, it was like for a crypto conference, pretty hardcore. And you kind of,
very hardcore,
is kind of absorbing that.
Yes, you're right. And I salute. And I owe you one for putting me on to the community in Amsterdam because, again, for our live stream next week, a lot of the people who I met through that connection are going to be on this show, including Ellie and Justin Bonds and some other cool people. So remember, guys, next week we're doing a special live stream from a sloop, a private boat on the canal in Amsterdam. It's going to be the stream of the century. Be there to check it out. We're going to be going all day Wednesday. It might be a little bit earlier in the day, but of course you can watch anytime. It'll always be my pinned tweet. One of the things about PorcFest, Joel, is that I don't think I saw one person use Bitcoin the entire time. Now, I know they put out stats of like which currencies were used the most and whatnot. And I'm not sure, maybe BTC was used the most, but I didn't see that. I'll tell you who I really thought was the big winner this year, and that's Zano, because so many people were not only accepting Zano, but I was buying stuff in Freedom Dollars. I was like the stable coin. I bought ice cream, like exploding ice cream and I paid for it in Zano. Another sponsor of this show. They have, whereas Firo had just hit 350 Spark names registered, Zano aliases are now at 5,129, which is really freaking impressive. They have a new wallet update, which was cool. They just reached a new all-time high on June 3rd of 16,000 transactions, slightly more actually. And they have new exchange listings on xt.com, bit.com, UZX, Byfinance, Digifinex, I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly. And they're planning to launch Confidential Layer this month. And I believe, don't quote me, but I believe that Obscura, the NFT platform, is going to be going live sometime soon. There's a Telegram group for you guys to check that out. What did I miss here? What's going on in the privacy world that I missed? We have about 2 or 3 minutes left.
Yeah. So real quick, just think about everything. Oh yeah, you mentioned like the name stuff. I think that Dash is about 4,300 or so names already, or actions on registered usernames. That function is interesting because, first of all, you require like a two-way friending in order to actually transact. So you can't just send money to the wrong person. You have to kind of do the right one. They can add a little bio and stuff. Right now, there's for premium usernames like Ruben, for example, using that example, there's like a 2-week voting period by the Masternode network to make sure that the super unique names only go to the people who kind of like make the case that that's actually them, to kind of prevent this sort of squatting. I think in the future that's going to be kind of like deprecated, but like right now for that initial thing. And it's, in the wallets that have the Dash Pay wallet has a bunch of really cool spending features for that as well. And just overall on the privacy front, it's hard to really pin too many specific things because just everything is happening, right? We have like I think that the CoinJoin functionality, what is it called, Cash Fusion, is coming into the Selene wallet very soon, which is a more popular new one on the block. I know Stack Wallet has added MWeb for Lightning, or Litecoin, I should say. And I think that was just recently. And I think the Maya protocol is going to soon enable fully shielded swaps for Zcash. And Shapeshift just added the Maya protocol, so now you can use, Dash and Zcash and stuff. You could trade those on the Shapeshift interface.
Oh, nice.
There's just a lot of stuff. It's really hard to keep up with just every last thing. The one thing that I'm looking at is I've been looking. There's a lot of apparently like nonprofits out there that give like privacy related grants, and I've been kind of looking at a lot of them. And I'm going to do the next few weeks, just find all of them, see what I can find, and anything that isn't specifically useful to me, I'm going to try to pass on to other people. Like, hey, Firo, you guys, you guys could use some money. Talk to these guys here, that kind of stuff. So that's just kind of the big thing. It's never been a better time to be, actually using crypto and making it private. That's just what I think.
Joel, I appreciate your time with man as always, brother.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Say hi to Vlad.
Mr. Mayweather, come on in. So, Mr. Mayweather, I believe you want to make a deposit?
That's correct.
Okay. I just need you to sign here, and we're ready to go.
Okay.
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange faced up to 175 years in prison.
Sent in tanks and men with guns, and they set the entire place on fire.
20 children were killed.
Actually, I think I'm going to hold off for now. This is great, dude. I'm up over 100%, and I'm not paying for Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio, Israel's wars, or any of the welfare.
Are you kidding me?
No, I swear to God. Check this out.
No way. You're making a killing. You know what, Sal? You gotta show me how you did that.
It's easy. I did it with Zano, a completely private, open-source cryptocurrency that actually scales and enables tokenized assets, aliases, and has a built-in private messenger app, DEX, and ionic swaps.
Here's to financial freedom.
Cheers.
Sláinte.
I'm here with Ghislaine, serving 20 years for having imaginary friends, thousands of Epstein victims, but zero clients. How are you?
I 100% deserve this.
True. Where's the client list?
Israel is our greatest ally.
Mr. President, are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. They're getting hit very hard. We're going to have to send more weapons. Yeah, defensive weapons primarily, but they're getting hit very, very hard.
I want to tell you about my own story about being tortured in federal prison in the United States.
Roger Ver, unfortunately today he got arrested.
Free Roger.
Free Roger.
The real reason that I actually went to prison is because I was busy saying things like the things that I'm going to say in this video. Taxation is theft and war is mass murder, funded by theft.
Roger, Bitcoin Jesus himself, was a true pioneer.
Here you've got one of the most independent people in the world preaching and teaching people to individually empower themselves around the globe.
He's been very supportive of the work we do.
He's also an inspiration to a lot of people around the globe.
I couldn't express any more of how great of a person he was.
In 2014, Roger Ver left the United States. America apparently is the land of the free. You should be free to just leave.
The United States government considers you to be their property.
Roger paid millions of dollars to the United States government, and they're saying now that it's not enough.
You read the quotes from his lawyer, it's like, this is the evidence of someone trying to comply with the law.
He did everything according to the book.
Nobody's ever gone to jail for that, ever.
The DOJ is actually using the Bitcoin Jesus term. They're literally going to crucify Bitcoin Jesus.
Just because some people get together and write down words on a piece of paper and call it a law, that doesn't alter morality one bit.
They're using the Trump case as a template for how they can go after any dissident.
This is very scary, frankly, 10 years later.
Government and central banks do not want this story out there.
The truth doesn't bend to whether or not we like it being the truth or not.
Roger's a good guy, and we all owe him a lot. It's really sad.
To say that he is instrumental in Bitcoin would be a radical understatement.
Really believed in Bitcoin for the reasons that people should believe in Bitcoin.
It disgusts me from my core when I see government murdering people around the world. And Bitcoin has the power to undermine everything they're doing to people around the world.
Is it a coincidence? The only guy that's ever been criminally prosecuted on an exit tax interpretation is the guy that was exposing the intelligence community's attempts to infiltrate the Bitcoin movement?
There's nothing we can do to change the past, but we can work together to change the future.
From this moment forward, I'm on the same side as Roger.
Free Roger.
Free Roger.
Free Roger.
It's as crazy a case as you can possibly imagine.
In Edge, you have private keys. They're in the app. They're encrypted automatically and they're backed up. But you just create an account and log in. And it's a no KYC account, no email, no phone number, nothing. And with that account, you basically get automatic encryption and backup of your keys. You even have password recovery capability. You do have to set that up. You have automatic two-factor protection. So if you chose a poor password and some attacker gets it, they won't be able to get into your account. You'll get a notification before, you'll have some time to respond. Little things that make it much more human accessible to the usual traditional finance person. That's what we're trying to deliver. So you can think of us as like the cypherpunks that are trying to hide the complexity of cypherpunk software and kind of Trojan horse it into the masses. Even the people that don't care about privacy, don't care about autonomy.
You will be private.
You will be, and you won't even realize it. And you will have autonomy. You will control your money.
That's what it should be, though.
Yeah, it just seems
it's
like
a
no-brainer.
It should be, but it's super hard. It's a no-brainer, but the brain part of it being a no-brainer, which would make it tough, is it's hard to kind of marry those two. Crypto and privacy normally takes extra steps. It takes,
no
extra
doubt.
effort. Key management being one of the big ones. I like to say there's a few apps. I gave a presentation on this at ETHDAM last year, which are, hey, what are good apps that have actually bridged that gap, where they provide the privacy, but they're kind of equivalent to the total surveillance style apps. So like Signal is a good example, right? I used Signal back when it absolutely sucked. And I used it to try it, but I never recommended it to anyone. Then it crossed that threshold in like maybe 2019.
Right.
I'm like, whoa, this is actually a pretty damn good app. And you can't tell the difference between Signal and like Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. Exactly. Yeah. It's actually better than those. And so now I'm just like, okay, now I have my friends and family that don't give it. They're absolutely not cypherpunk types. They don't give a shit. And they're using it, not realizing they're fully encrypted, protected from government surveillance.
Yeah.
Right. And so therefore anything I say to them is fully encrypted and protected from government surveillance.
And one of the things that I want to talk about at Moneratopia is how we can all work together to market privacy, because I put this in my my workshop. 35% or 33% of Gen Z in America are okay with the federal government installing surveillance cameras to monitor for domestic violence. So we have a generational issue. I mean, for me, I've always just assumed privacy was just a fundamental right. I've never questioned it not being a fundamental right. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you find out that there are entire generations of people that never even thought to value it, don't even understand it. And we know what the government is doing, and we know what everybody else is doing from a propaganda perspective, which is, oh, if you use a privacy coin, you are guilty by default.
In a world brimming with curiosity, every penny spent tells a story. Firo ensures your tale remains yours and yours alone. A marvel of technology, safeguarding your financial freedom with the elegance and discretion of a private journal. Whether buying a cup of joe at the corner diner or securing treasures for your loved ones, Firo's Spark protocol keeps prying eyes out. It's your money, your business, and with Firo, your privacy is paramount. With Firo's Spark addresses, sharing your address becomes as carefree as a Sunday morning drive without compromising the sanctity of your personal financial haven. This ingenious marvel allows you to flaunt your address in the town square, shout it from the rooftops, or broadcast it on the evening radio while resting assured that its contents remain your secret alone. So, join the ranks of those who choose freedom, discretion, and peace of mind. With Firo, you're not just making transactions, you're making a statement. A statement that says, my financial privacy is my right. Firo, the future of private transactions. Secure, private, yours. Today, tomorrow, and for the future to come.
Traditional crypto addresses are a problem. They're long and almost impossible to remember, and worst of all, they give out your transaction history just by sharing them. Spark names are a simple and smart way to share your Firo address. With aliases like @Sparky, you can easily tell someone over a conversation your Firo address without giving out any of your blockchain history. You can even attach additional information to your Spark names, such as your website or contact information, for it to serve as a decentralized digital identity. Also, Spark Names registration fees also help fund the Firo ecosystem, as they are channeled to the community fund to fund various initiatives to improve Firo. Spark Names, easy to remember and share while protecting your on-chain privacy.
All right, guys, with the recent election of Donald Trump, there has been an undeniable spike in both the interest and price of cryptocurrency. It seems today that everybody and their mother has a significant amount of wealth in crypto. As agorists, this is a wonderful thing to be celebrated. But one question I constantly get is, how should I store my crypto? The answer, of course, is in offline cold storage. And I have here today the C12 Core Security Kit from CryptoSteel. Durable, affordable, from a company I trust and a team I personally know. They've got over 10 years of experience in R&D, and they've sold over 100,000 units. But what's really cool about this is that it's virtually indestructible. How indestructible? Well, we're about to find out.
Man, it's still pretty fucking hot, but it seems to have survived.
Well, if it's that indestructible, shouldn't it be able to survive an explosion?
Alright guys, so as you can see, the tamper-proof security seal did not survive, but it's made out of plastic. That's to be expected. The important stuff, however, did survive. So you can recover your password in the event of a fire, explosion, flood, being run over by a car, or thrown off a building. Of course this thing survived. It's made out of space-grade steel. But there you have it, guys. The CryptoSteel Core Security Kit from CryptoSteel.com. Now you know why they sold over 100,000 units. Get yours today, CryptoSteel.com.
Obscura NFTs aren't just collectibles. They're your key to exclusive access. Attending a private event, your Obscura NFT becomes your digital ticket. Just scan, verify, and walk in for fast and private access. Whether it's a concert, art show, or members-only lounge, Obscura gives you access to real-life experiences simply by proving you hold the right NFT. Online, your NFT unlocks premium content and gated platforms with no logins and no passwords. Instant access, fully private, or step into invite-only communities where your NFT acts as your pass, confirming you're a member without giving up your data. Obscura NFTs turn ownership into access, connecting private digital assets to real-world benefits.
We've all been predicting the war on crypto for years. I've also always said that at the end we win.
the state will use different tools against us, but you know what? We're going to turn around and we're going to have things like Zano pop up in response to problems that they create. And Zano is a sort of solution to all of it, like the tokenization, the confidential layers. So I remain confident because I really think that we innovate more quickly than the state does. The state's always going to push back because they want power and money and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I think it's sort of the market always wins.
We have millions of people that are clamoring for the solutions that we have. They just don't know it yet. They're in a position where they're aware now. Yeah, no, I don't like either party. There's not a political solution. I don't want CBDCs. Now, the Federal Reserve, most people don't know every fiat currency in human history has failed. They don't have any background about how money works, but they understand now based on inflation that the Federal Reserve isn't doing a good job. And so now they're open to having a conversation. So now I can sit and explain, and I have a chapter in my book and I say, here's the history of money. Here are the 7 reasons fiat currencies collapse. They have a 100% failure rate. Here are the 7 reasons. Here's the United States. We're flashing red on all 7. Usually a currency collapses for 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of the reasons. We have all 7. Once people understand that, now they're receptive. I take the approach of radical honesty, presenting the truth, and trying to live the principles. And I actually don't think it takes that many of us to do that, to have a huge outsized impact.
Now we are dealing with a possible world war. Some will say we are already in a world war. My condolences and prayers go out to everyone suffering under tyranny. It really sucks. I'm really sorry. But it seems as if people are starting to wake up regarding crypto more and more each day. And so it's in the description right here to read where we give our secret sauce and what we teach our subscribers, because things are just that bad. Everyone needs this information. People need to know about sound cryptocurrencies that are actually private by default and to know how to properly use crypto.
Tell us what duress mode is, because there was just a case. Well, tell us what duress mode is first.
So I'll tell you what it is by what it's inspired by. So if anyone's ever had a security system in their house, you kind of like go into the house and you punch in a code to unlock your security system so it doesn't go and call the police. Well, most systems have what's called a duress code. And that code is a code that allows you to unlock the security system so it doesn't go and call the police, except that it actually does call the police. And if someone were to hold a gun to your head and basically put you in duress, you can enter that code. It turns off the alarm, but silently alerts authorities. And so that's considered a duress code for a lot of security systems. So our duress mode is by and large a similar feature in the sense that you're able to set up a secondary code, not your normal code to unlock, but a secondary code to unlock your account. When you enter that code, it unlocks what we call a sub-account. It's like a secondary account linked to your primary account, but it has a completely different set of wallets. Those are real wallets that are real private keys, can hold real funds, and can truly send out transactions, but it's indistinguishable from your regular account from the viewpoint of like when someone just sees it on your phone. So if you're forced to unlock your account, either by someone saying, hey, what's your code to unlock the account, or you enter it yourself, you can simply enter your duress code. That unlocks your account, but then shows this decoy account with what you would want to put as like, kind of like spending money. And then if you were forced to withdraw that, well, you've lost your spending money, but not the large funds that you might be holding inside of the app that are obviously a bit more critical. At its heart, that's effectively what it is. And you can fund the wallets that show up in your decoy account also show up in your main account, so you can easily fund them and you actually spend from them, these spending wallets on a regular basis. So it's a great way to kind of have like these 2 little accounts that are kind of shown as really just one account, and be able to hide the larger balances that you're holding from anyone that might be searching through your phone, whether it be you crossing a border or you being once again put under duress.
A ship full of pirates had been at sea for years in search for a multi-currency self-custody app focused on privacy, but had lost all hope. Until one morning they came across a shoreline with the object sticking out of the sand. Inside this box of treasures would be the Edge app. Follow the treasure to Edge, where you can store, send, receive, and swap pirate chain. Because financial privacy today is freedom tomorrow.
I want to tell you about a friend of mine. His name is Roger Ver, a great man, a great idealist.
Roger Ver is one of the earliest Bitcoin pioneers.
He's currently in Spain and potentially facing over 100 years in prison in the United States.
The U.S. government is extraditing somebody for tax evasion to put him in prison for 109 years.
I wasn't an American, and I wasn't living in the U.S.
He had to leave the country in order to be safe.
Roger Ver's not actually guilty by the letter of the law.
They didn't send anybody else to prison for the same behavior.
The very concept of having to pay a tax to renounce your citizenship is abhorrent.
It's absurd on its face.
The DOJ is only using the tax evasion charge as a loophole to get around the laws that have not kept up with the technology like Bitcoin.
So they're using the tax system as a form of lawfare. As an example, don't you dare innovate.
They even illegally raided his attorney's office, which is not allowed.
We know it was lawfare. This is a precedent that will be used against everybody in the cryptocurrency space. Trump, you understand lawfare.
Donald Trump, a pardon of Roger Ver would send a very powerful message that you are not going to allow the Department of Justice to be weaponized against advocates of decentralized finance. And if you want to make America great again, you need people like Roger.
We're going to free the victims of lawfare in this country. Just like Donald Trump is a victim of lawfare, so is Ross Ulbricht.
I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht.
I feel like we're undergoing an emancipation from the financial terrorism that has so oppressed our best minds.
I watched so many of my heroes go to prison, be silenced, be debanked, and Roger was one of the first.
If anybody knows what it's like to be the victim of lawfare, it's Trump.
Roger, Godspeed.
I want Donald Trump to issue a pardon for this man. Free Roger now.
It's not a fun way to live day to day knowing if this is your last day, not in prison, potentially for the rest of your entire life.